Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another TurfZoom brought to you by the nice folks at the Aquatrolls Company. Today, we're here with a guy, I don't know, you may have known him from somewhere. You may have seen him around. You might have caught him on social media, might have seen him at a show because he's the man. John Reilly, welcome to the TurfZoom.
Wow. I'm happy to be here, Pat. Thanks for having me.
Look
This
how
is
nice you
exciting.
look. You got all
Exciting.
dressed up.
Yeah, yeah. Look,
But let me
like
guess, do you
fine
have like
wine. I wouldn't know, but like fine wine, I think I'm aging well. So,
Well, we all hope that we're doing that. Sometimes you reach your limit on wine, though, like me, and it's not as relevant. But I get you. So today I want to talk to you about fun. I want to talk to you about what's fun in this industry because one thing I know about you is you're always looking for an opportunity to smile, and you're always looking for an opportunity to make sometimes things, tough parts of this business, fun. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But before we get started, tell me about your crazy background because you're not a typical South Florida superintendent. You sort of migrated. Tell me, kind of your background and how you got into this crazy business.
sure. I came from a family of caddies, and I just either didn't have the attention span or the will to spend 5 hours with some ginned up mobster. So I gravitated as a young man to the golf course maintenance group. And I sort of twisted Armen Suny's arm and said, "Sir, could you hire me? Sir, could you hire me? Sir, could you hire me?" And then I said, "I know how to drive stick." And then he hired me, which I was not.
And this was
Um,
at what golf course?
I just loved it at that time. A lot of guys were in the Penn State program. I mean, there were
Okay.
5 or 6 superintendents that came out of that group when I worked in the summers, and I just fell in love with golf course maintenance, but never really thought about it as a career. And so, high school, college, graduate school, life in the real world, I always had a part time job somewhere on a golf course so I could play free golf and always in maintenance.
Right.
When I had a life change and I've always had that interest, I decided to kind of go back, work as an employee. And I came to Florida then, and I worked in Largo, Florida at Bardmore Club and the
Yeah.
Bayou. And just to make sure that I didn't have this kind of pastoral, oh, this is way better than being a social worker working in the Philadelphia area or the St. Petersburg area, wherever I was working.
And
And
that's what your graduate degree was in, right?
yes, it was clinical psychology. I have a master's in clinical psychology. So all purely for selfish reasons, obviously. So anyway, I just made that change, and at the same time, my brother-in-law, who is a superintendent in Jackson, New Jersey, got his first job, and that was right across the bridge from Alexandria, Virginia, in Fort Washington, Maryland. It was called Tantalon,
Mm-hmm.
and he needed some help, and I went up there, but he didn't hire me as an assistant, or he didn't give me anything special. And as management companies go, it was pretty volatile, and he didn't stay very long. And then I was there. So after the assistant left, I got a chance to be a superintendent, and that was enough for me. We reconnected, my brother-in-law and I, in New Jersey, and I went to Rutgers, took the turf management degree, the 10-week, 4 10-week periods,
Mm-hmm.
and when my first job was Copperhead in Innisbrook. I got a chance to intern in between that with Darren Davis at Old Florida. Great, great, great experience for me, even though I didn't know it at the time. Just that same person that I was when I was, impetuous and hard to control. It was the same as I grew through life. And so I didn't understand what I didn't understand working for Darren, but I employ so much of what that guy's done for the industry every day myself.
Yeah.
So I owe great respect to Darren for that. And then left there and worked the J.C. Penney at Innisbrook And then after my last semester at Rutgers, I got offered the Copperhead job, got to do the renovation, did the last JC Penney, did the first Valspar. And then, in this career, you want to matriculate, you want to keep moving on. So growth was in the center of the state. So I moved to center state, did a lot of grow-ins, did a lot of renovations, and that got me to Longboat. So now I'm at Longboat 17 seasons as a director of agronomy. So a lot of times I've been at multi-course facilities. Not really sure why that was, but that's just how it sort of worked out. Places that had 36 holes, or there were 4 golf courses at Innisbrook. I mean, that place was an interesting place to work, and to be at the top course was interesting as well. And being here at Longboat, it's kind of like a 72 hole place, because there's a 27 hole course you play in 3 separate kind of routings. So it has its own challenges for guys that work for me, but it's been great. I just love the place, the opportunities that it's given me, the ability to use to maintain a grass that nobody else maintains. So
Right.
My experience is kind of new, but the same. So I love that part of it. And like you said, I love to laugh. There's 50 people that work here. People will say, how many people work for you? And I'll say about half, so we always have a little back and forth with the group, and try to have that family. And I try to be the Papa Bear and enjoy my life here a lot. Enjoy my life here a lot. It's very, very blessed.
But you're still that Philadelphia kid at heart
yes.
who
Take
kept
the kid out
bugging
of Philly,
Armen.
you can't take the Philly out of the kid. I totally agree with
No,
that.
but I just have this vision of a young turf monkey bugging the shit out of Armen Suny, trying to get a job at one of the best golf courses in the world. So
Yes.
when you were working there, what do you remember Armen saying? Because Armen's equally a character like you. But what do
Yes.
you remember some of the things that he said that he taught you?
Yeah, Armen was definitely a leader. So when you're, as an incoming person, you didn't have that much experience with him, but you had tons of experience because he was a hands-on guy. And literally, he taught me how to walk mow greens. I mean, that was the first thing that I ever learned. And I can remember him saying, this is like a horse. It's, you either ride the horse or the horse rides you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I hit my clutch and dropped the mower and scalped the collar. And the first time I got a chance to drive stick was when a cart was stuck. So I'm watching these guys because I know I don't know how to drive stick. I'm 13 years old. So I'm watching the guys in those 3-wheel Jakes that had the handle, the stick shift in the middle. And one was stuck. We pulled it out of the creek, and then he said, "I'll drive this one back to the shop." And I literally put my foot on the clutch, my foot on the brake, turned, panicked. Once I pulled my hand up to it and put my cart in the exact same creek that they were pulling and you say crick when you grow up in where I come from.
Oh yeah.
My cart right back in the creek that we pulled the other cart out of. So Armen was always very, very friendly. He lived at the golf course back when that was something that people did. I can remember that house. Even my brother-in-law was an assistant there when I was working as a social worker and a part-timer at Rolling Green. I literally spent my whole formative years at Rolling Green, and a lot of it on the bridge on number 14, the par 3. Still keep in touch with the old mechanic, and it's just an amazing kind of camaraderie that came out of there. And Armen started it all, and he was just a young guy that came from Marion and Agronomy. I mean, he was ahead of his time. Just ask him; he'll tell you.
Right. and then tell me about why you were interested in social work and having a master's degree in was it counseling specifically, or was it
No, I was on my way to get my PhD. This story uh, is interesting. But I was a non-traditional student. Obviously, I graduated.
surprise?
I graduated and I came to Florida to study psychological components of literature. Basically, there was this cat in University of Florida named Norman Holland, and I was going to do my graduate work underneath him. And I just didn't get the vibe when I got down to Gainesville, and then kind of settled more in the West Coast area. And that's when I started doing research at the University of South Florida, and that's what got me into. So I had a psychology degree, I had an English literature degree from Villanova. And I would do research, and it's pretty interesting that I do metrics now because it was a behavioral modification unit for psychiatric patients, and I would do the research or plot the behaviors of the day on the overnight shift. And then I got interested in just going to breakfast with the folks or helping people out that were in crisis in the middle of the night. And that's what led me into social work out in the real world. Because people were closing those types of hospitals down where we put our problems away from and we encourage people to be in the community. And I love that part of social work. I mean, I saw people get married, buy houses, drive a car, things that people didn't get a chance to do if they had been at a state hospital. So that was a great piece of enjoyment for me. Then I worked at University of Penn in a vocational program, and that's when I looked into the PhD program, and I got accepted, but I kind of tapped out after I got my master's. I didn't really want to talk to somebody.
Use?
What's that?
What do you still use from that every day? What do you still, because that's an incredible background to have for almost anything. So how do you still use what you learned during that time period every day now at Longboat?
Yeah, it's a good part of it. I mean, I think that just the exchange person to person, the ability, like people's basic needs are important when you're in any kind of crisis. So in golf, where it's a different type of energy, but it's frenetic at the time. So I make sure that people feel comfortable where they are. They have the right piece of equipment. They've already had lunch. And that's what I used to do as a social worker. So if somebody was having a breakdown or they were in a crisis situation, we didn't go in and just take over. We might go to McDonald's, have something to eat, so those types of basic needs, you look at that before you ask about somebody to go back and to change a cup that's on a slope or something along those lines. Hey, how you doing? Everybody here takes their hat off, shake your hand. How's the family? I know who's got young kids, who has kids graduating high school. And then you say, hey, that cup on number 27 is on the slope. Can you go back and get that on a flat? So I think that's the most important part. And then the other thing is just the more you have self-awareness, the better you are as a leader. So kind of turning the screws on myself. And I think some of that comes from my background in school, and some of it comes from my background in recovery.
Mike, we'll talk about that in a second. Our friend Dean Graves, who was at Chevy Chase Country Club for years and years and years, wrote a piece for me in the Turf Heads Takeover, I think the very first one of those we did. And the question to him was, how do you build such a good team? And the answer was one word. It was empathy.
Yeah.
It makes sense?
It does. I think that, and thinking that everybody's trying to do the best job possible. Now, I am so guilty of doing the opposite of that, but when given the opportunity, that's where I really want to go. But and I probably do it 85% of the time. And the part about saying, hey, 50 people work for me, about half of them work. If someone asks me how many, But I am so proud that some people are here as many years as I've been here. I mean, and we're talking about over 50, 60, 70%. I wish I had more guys maybe in the soup, on that sort of lineage or legacy. But I can tell you this, people who work day to day have worked with me or kept in touch with me for many, many, many moons since I first came to Florida, which was a long time ago, more than half my life ago now.
Yeah.
So
So
it's
to your point, you and I have a lot of stuff in common, but one thing is we're both have been in recovery for a long time. How did that how did that change the way you approached life in general, but what you do for a living? How did that change things?
yeah, well, I'm more present. I think that's the biggest thing of all. There's a guy that says it, when I go to some of the meetings, it would say, I'm more alcoholic now than I was before. And he doesn't say it in a negative way, in the sense
Right?
that, you know, we're just wired a certain way. And the more I know about that, and the more I turn that over to something I can't control, and the more I'm aware of all of that, and the more I tap into that, and to just be present with somebody. I mean, to be thinking about when I'm going to have, my next cocktail kind of takes you out of a meeting, helping another superintendent, your wife, your family, those types of things that I sort of ruminated on, they're gone now. And so I can be more present and have more fun. And that was something I thought I'll never have any more fun. I just went to an outing the other day. Check this out, Pat. I pulled a groin squatting. I'm a weightlifter now, right? So anyway, I sent one of my guys to play in my stead, but I went because I wanted to see the golf course. It was a renovation of a friend of mine, and I had the best time. I mean, and we went, and I was with the beer guy, but he was the crown guy, and that's a freaking miracle in my life. And to
Yeah.
just have that expectation, not count how many, how many fingers this guy poured, or just be present and have a ball. And it was awesome. And that's a gift every day I get. It's just pretty cool.
Yeah, I hear you.
How about
I,
you?
I think what I appreciate is the lack of guilt, because I always felt guilty. I always felt like I was doing something wrong. I always felt like I was lying to people, and because I was, right. So I think that feeling of being mostly guilt free. We're always guilty about something we didn't do right, but being mostly guilt free has been the biggest gift of all. And
Yeah. And to be open about it for me is fun too. I don't
yeah,
mind kind of halfway sharing it. I mean, I don't go to the supermarket and bring it up, but
right.
if it's germane to some situation or I can make a little bit light of it, I try to.
Yeah, I hear you, man. So let's talk about fun, because I think one of the things that we mentioned earlier is one of the most fun moments of my life, and we'll try to get a picture of this that we'll stick in here. Was when you were the honoree at the social media awards a couple of years ago, and I was at the booth taking pictures or hosting it, or something. I don't remember. But there's a picture of you and I, and you brought your dog. You brought your dog
That's
along,
good.
and it was just a picture of that dog going to town with you and I sitting there in that booth with giant smiles on our face, and even the dog was smiling. Those are the kind of moments we live for. Uh,
Yeah.
how much fun can you have in one day? When you think about it, how much fun can you go out and have one day?
I'm on it, man. Like this morning, I'm on where I see the sun come up a lot, and it's near a big fancy high rise that sits on Sarah Bay. And this guy I see in the morning because the dogs and I go over there a lot, see the sun come up. It's the ninth hole in blue. It's a pretty beautiful picture. And it's just it's a place, what I call take a breather. I do 8 or 9 minutes of meditation where I just kind of focus on my breathing. It's not a big deal. But anyway, I'm on the green, and the young lady's cutting a cup, and the two dogs are with me, and I didn't notice, but the people will come out of the condos and walk the path in the morning before golf gets there, and I hear this guy from behind me go, "Good to see you have adult supervision today." And I thanked him for, just busting my stones a little bit. And usually he'll see just the three of us, the two dogs and I, and the young lady got a kick out of it. So those are the types of things. And to be able to do that, not just with a resident, nowadays with members, I mean,
Yeah.
you go back to our drinking thing. Like, I wasn't going up to a member when I used to drink. And now, I go up, give them a hug, bust their stones a little bit. They get on me, and we have a lot of fun. And so I don't think I quantitatively think about it, but I do think that we wouldn't be doing it for as long as we could. I mean, look, there's guys and gals in this industry that aren't having fun,
Yeah.
and there for many reasons that's the case. And we are our own worst enemy, and sometimes that's hard to do. That you got to realize you cut your own deal. But the blessing for me is there's enough freedom day in and enough difference in the day that we all have that we can interject fun and enjoy and share it and take it on. And then sometimes get overwhelmed. You've been around me when I get a little touched up. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everybody's got that. The thing you mentioned there that you just sort of skipped over was mindfulness and a little bit of meditation or whatever you want to call it, and be able to clear your brain and be present. How do you do that? How do you approach that?
yeah, well, again, some of it has to do with my recovery, and then the rest of it is I want to kind of connect with nature. I get to bring my dogs, even though they have a service commitment, which is moving the geese off the golf course. I built this labyrinth. I want to say 13 years ago too, maybe right when I got sober, and I did it under protest at the club because I told the spa lady I could do it, and this GM held me to it, and I went ahead and did it, and now I get to use it every day, and it's right on the wall. And I mean, it could be freezing cold, which has been not like you guys, but it's been cold for Florida. And so it's not the exact start of the day where I do sort of prayer and meditation, but it's a beginning of the day. Once first jobs are out there, then we kind of scoot off and take 8 minutes literally. And
Yeah.
sometimes with the headphones on and the hippie kind of whatever that stuff is, the calming music. And sometimes not, just let the wind. One of the things I'm trying to do is this thing, it's called Don't Take Yourself Personally, which isn't really that. It's about, if you look at Asian sort of philosophy or meditation, is that we don't really see a tree. We see our representation of that tree in our own mind. So the ability to try to remove the prism and to think about being the leaf of a tree without John Reilly thinking about being the leaf of the tree. If I can get a little deep, and that's a hard thing to do. And for all of us, if you can take just a second or two where we're not consumed with who we are, what we have to do, and how we have to do it, and who's watching, and what do they think of me, and all the things that we all do. If you can get a break from that and you get recharged I get recharged. I don't know how it happens for everybody else, but I don't know if I went way off on there, but
No, that's exactly right. I think of it as just self-awareness. It's being true to your own self and recognizing when your mind's trying to take you someplace else and puff you up. I mean, I have a little bit of an ego. And so it's a little hard sometimes to step back and take a breath and think, what am I in this situation? It's not about me talking about how great I am. It's about me stopping and listening. And that's hard sometimes.
Right. And your breath though is something you do all the time. So it's a pretty cool, easy way to sort of get centered. And it can take a minute. It could take 30 seconds. It's better than 30 seconds in the other direction where we're consumed with something we can't change or we can't control.
for sure. It's a great habit to build. I know our friend Paul McCormick has done a lot in terms of teaching mindfulness and sharing those ideas.
He's helped me.
I have a little book called Mindfulness on the Go that I've literally worn out a couple of copies of that I stick in my backpack. And when I travel, I will look at that because it's easy to get wrapped up in travel and you know.
Yeah. I always call you from the airport.
I know. I love
Whenever
it.
the mayor from Atlanta gets on and tells us about it, I'm like, I gotta call Pat. Tell him where I'm going today. And Paul's really helped me. That labyrinth, when I used to started bringing the dogs would kind of, I was consumed with, going around the labyrinth and going back out, and I said, what do I do with when the dogs kind of interrupt me or they want attention? And he said, John, everything's a maze. So don't worry about it. It's all a maze. And once he said that, it made it so much easier to do that every day. So sometimes I do it, pretty conventional, and sometimes I'm just skipping through the middle and off we go. So it's pretty cool.
That's some pretty deep stuff for a Canadian.
Yeah. He's a good dude, really good dude. And that's the beauty of our industry. I mean, today, I'm going to talk to people all over the place because, obviously the show's coming up, the PGA show's here. I mean, and in my life, just in general, we're going out to Gator Creek this afternoon and do a demo on our injection. I talked to somebody from Mississippi who's looking for free golf, a lot of free golf talk right around now.
Sure. So when you mentioned that, and so I don't think people understand. You have an incredible job as director of agronomy at Longboat, 72-hole equivalent, but you also are involved in other things. You're also working with other courses to help them with their agronomy practices. What else are you doing besides the Longboat Key world?
Yeah, I'm building a 23-acre sod farm out of seed from paspalum, for paspalum. And that's been it's 23 miles north of University of Florida, and it's right next to the Zephyr Hills, which is like a spring water plant. Mm-hmm. So sort of the goal there is to just, I think paspalum is a low input, kind of highly maintained grass right now, but I think it could be a really good alternative to landscape grass handled correctly, especially in the world that we live in the autonomous world. So if we're micro mowing it with these machines, it really brings the inputs down and the need to sort of super maintain it, which is what's happened historically when people use it on golf courses. But it's also a freshwater grass. So it was important for me to find a place that's going to have the best water in the world. It's by the springs in the middle of the state of Florida. And a construction business with an architect named Toby Cobb. And that's been super cool. And we really work here mostly, but we've had a couple of jobs and doing it kind of the same way that I did the superintendent change, which is let's go small. Let's do courses that are getting overlooked. And I know the business is crazy right now. So to get somebody to do construction is difficult, especially if a club wants to do it in a year's time. So it's sort of, we've found our own little spot there. If somebody says, well, I'm gonna redo bunkers this year, or we got a hurricane last year. We had a lot of business that people were going to have to wait 3 years to get because all the other companies are already booked. I mean, that's just that's the way life is right now in the golf industry. It's crazy good.
So, and then you also have I'm going to get this wrong, dry jet business, the equivalent of injection business.
Yeah, that's what we're doing this afternoon. We're doing a demo at Gator Creek from Michael O'Brien, and it's called wet jet. We call it firm. Fundamental inputs, right management. So it's the equivalent. It's on a tractor, so it kind of brings down the labor aspect of it at golf courses. And then for me, it's sort of an alternative to core aerification, where you can in one pass do what takes most of us conventionally to do 3 three different things. We pull a
Yeah.
plug, we take the plug out, then we put sand down and we drag it around. This thing's going to inject sand and create firmness by sort of filling up the balloon a little bit versus what we've done historically.
Right. I wouldn't watch you work with a friend when I was down visiting one time and doing this, and it was fascinating to watch the process and how it was being done. But what occurred to me is, how do you find the time? How do you manage your life and your schedule in such a way that you're able to do all these things? And there's more stuff I want to talk about in a minute, but to be able to balance all of these things along with being a husband and being a friend and being somebody who's out there in the world. How do you manage your schedule?
Yeah, it's frenetic, and I think it has to do with how I start my day. Having a sense of the present allows me to schedule things, and it's not going to be perfect, so I don't get too bent out of shape on that. And sometimes, like you brought up the family life aspect of it, I will, and you can ask Angie this, I will lean into everything, and it doesn't go well. So you learn to sort of measure out your time, do the best you can, be honest with people when you let them down, if you do let them down by the fact that you can't make an appointment or something along those lines. We all have busy schedules, and the world is so much, once COVID happened, these types of situations are more normal than less. So I can be in Australia today, and at Longboat Key, I can, hop on a jet plane with my owners because that's what they own, be it the Sagamore doing tree work, and then at the Samoset doing irrigation, both courses we own as a company, and then back home in the same day. So those types of things are available, and if you're open to them, that's fine. Also, you have to realize you can't do it all, so you have to get
Yeah.
people. So on the paspalum side, we have Shane Ritchie, a past superintendent from the Illinois area, is running that business. Some of my guys are working alongside from the robot side, Steve Gregg and Brian Brusso from the on their time off. So it's a team effort. You don't do this by yourself. And then, the injection business, I use the metrics along with that. So I've hired somebody this year, Eric Gowdy, who's going to run the ball and check firmness before, firmness after. We've also looked at different ways of scheduling it, and some people have leaned into that. Like if you think about aerification, you've been around it so much. We'll do 4 aerifications over the summer, or guys up north will do two aerifications in the fall, 2 aerifications in the spring, or whatever that case is. Well, for warm season turf, we're thinking about maybe doing all the injection at once, and then they have the whole summer to do everything else and allow their greens to heal. If there's anything that I'm trying to promote, is less is more, and that the more time we give our grass a chance to recover, the more time we can give our grass to the people who pay for it, which is the members and the guests. So those are the types of, we're always trying to get better at it. And, trust me, there's a lot of woe is me that never gets seen out there, but I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. And every day is different. Every day is exciting. There's no monotony. So some of the upside to that of the frenetic lifestyle is there, but there's a lot of pressure that comes along with it too.
It seems to me that you're a great delegator, that you have confidence in the people around you, and maybe that's a little something you learned from Armen or some of the folks that you work with along the way. Was you got to trust them, you got to give them the opportunity, and let them prove that they can do it, and if they can, let them go.
Yeah, those are things that you just got to always try to get better at. Sometimes they work out seamlessly. Sometimes they're a tough sled, and sometimes people will surprise you. And I
Yeah.
think that's the part I'm looking for.
Yeah.
It doesn't always happen, and I'm probably guilty of being very loyal, maybe longer than I need to be. But I'd rather do that than to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
It seems to be working for you. So, so think about. I mean, you live in the weirdest part of the weirdest state. There's a lot of cool stuff going on in South Florida. So who are some of you? Who are some of your friends that you're closest to that you're those are the guys that you think or women that you think are the funniest people in the industry, the people that crack you up. Who are some of
Yeah,
those
yeah. I
characters?
think locally or people around the
Anywhere,
hood.
anywhere.
Yeah, Terry Kennelly, who's at Mayaca Golf Club, is hilarious, and he's just a salt of the earth guy. I kind of get those. I'm a in your face Philly make fun of you joker guy, one liner guy. So I sort of gravitate to the people who are a little more thoughtful and just have a wit about them that sometimes you'll be driving home and you just start laughing.
Yeah,
Jim Whalen at Calusa Pines. I just
yeah,
love that guy. I could call him at 3 a.m. in the morning, at 3:30 and or 3 p.m. in the afternoon. He's always at work and has something funny right off the bat to say. Mark Reed at the Breakers,
yeah.
hilarious. Hilarious. He has paspalum, so I love talking to him. I mean, and he's got an Australian accent, so I have this running joke with my Australian friends that they get jobs because I could say the exact same thing in the same room, but it sounds so much better when they're saying it. So that's why they get hired. So it's those type of things, and that's just a little piece of it. Sometimes we get threads, group texts, things that don't come that naturally to me are
Yeah.
so fun. There's guys just locally here at Lakewood National and
Yeah.
Joel or
Joel,
or
yeah. Joel's
Robin
great.
Kildall at the Founders. Like he doesn't like Rory McIlroy, so I have Rory McIlroy's bib in my living room from the Ryder Cup, couple Ryder Cups ago. Those guys. Charlie up and Andy both up on Long Island, guys I went to Rutgers with. I mean, hilarious people, and I think hilarity is easy in this industry. I mean, we're dealing with GMs, golf pros, members. It's some of the funniest stuff. You can't make it up, kind of thing. That's what you call somebody and go, listen, you can't make this part up. Like just 2 nights ago, the guy's stuck in the cart barn with the car and he can't get the steering wheel out of stuck, and I'm like, I guess go in, wiggle the key, go like this, start the thing up, and that happens all the time. It's just funny stuff.
But you're open to the humor. I think that's the important thing is
Yeah,
that
you can't take it that personal, or you got to know sort of what line to kind of run through. I probably this side always with the fun, and I like crisis time for some reason. That's always been a good time for me to throw something in there to act kind of normal when people think the whole world's falling apart. Today we get 1-9 closed every Thursday on the 27-hole course, just for the last couple of years. And, they sent the 9-hole ladies out the closed course. They got pencil times, no cups in, and my pro's losing his mind. And I just get a kick out of it, partially because it's certainly not my fault, but at the same time, we just gotta know, you gotta own it, figure it out, and go to the next stage. And if you get caught up in that and you're upset about it, you probably, at least for me, I'm not as clear about a solution as I am when I can kind of laugh at it.
right,
Because
right.
no one complained but my guys. Like the ladies were out there, the 9-hole ladies were out there playing with no cups, no flags, never said a word. And my guys know. So, and then all of a sudden it was, blah, 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 so, and that might happen. I don't know if it's ever happened here for me, but it's
What
okay.
What's the craziest thing you ever found out on the golf course? You know, you got there
Well,
first thing in
I
the morning.
saw some sexual activity midday back in Florida. Um, back when I started in Florida, they used to have what's called over 55 or something like that, kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I worked at this place called Sola Vida. And I'll tell you, day two, I'm driving into work and I'm driving down through this like rural section and I'm going really slow because these guys are walking uh, um, in a ditch and they're staring at me and I'm staring at them. And all of a sudden, my truck, brand new truck they gave me, brand new job, goes up in the air, bam, up in the air, bam. I ran over a cow going to work,
Oh no.
second day. But anyway, that course was just this crazy place where they had over 55 when 55 seemed old, And I can remember driving through the middle of, they had like this Tuscany uh, paver street and, piped in music. One Saturday morning, Bob Dylan, Everybody Must Get Stoned, just playing, 180 acres. But anyway, some like Saturday afternoon, two people naked as a jaybird, Pat, in the middle of a green, like, and thankfully it was just that was coming out playing with my dog Jake. It scarred me, but it's the funniest thing I've ever seen because of the way they tried to regroup it. It was like a train wreck. I couldn't keep my eyes off it, but I didn't want to watch it at the same time. So I would have to say that's the funniest thing by far, but a million funny things all the time. I mean, we grew up on a golf course, so
Right.
that's where we party, that's where we worked. So we saw all kinds of crazy things. One time I saw a caddy at that same bridge. If you didn't hit it over the gorge, you had to kind of walk down into the creek. You bring a couple of clubs, and the member hollered up at the caddy a couple of times to throw another club down, and he said, "Why don't you take the whole bag?"
Oh no.
and it up and threw it on the guy. So obviously he wasn't working there after that, but it was a pretty funny move because obviously you can only hit 14 clubs, So I'm sure by the 14th hole, that caddy had enough of. Caddies are hilarious people.
They are.
I drove Bill Murray to the airport one time. Came walking in my shop, and he's like, "Could you give me a ride?" And I said, "Okay." It was a Saturday afternoon, and that's a strange dude. I can tell you that he's a strange
What did
dude.
you guys talk about on the way to the airport?
I couldn't tell you, man. I was like, none of it was non sequitur after non sequitur.
I bet.
I had like a Buick LeSabre with the top was sort of sun beaten down. It was early in my career, and it was a cool course called Diamond Players Club. It was built outside of Orlando, and the concept was to have like these celebrities. Some celebrities owned the place, so these celebrity amateur tournaments, and conceptually it did pretty good. It just like everything else in Orlando, especially when I was at Sugarloaf, the Corin Crenshaw course, 2006 through 2009, just devastated that area because of the
Yeah.
housing market.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ask him about what it was like to be a groundskeeper at Wheaton when he was 14, 15 years
No,
old?
I
He
didn't
was
know a lot
briefly in our
about that.
business.
I did have that, the I'm all right groundhog or whatever that thing
Yeah.
was on my desk, and he kind of walked in and he had just sort of this weird look and he hit the button, and I'm thinking, oh great, no one's going to believe this. And then he's like, hey, can you give me a ride to the airport? And of
That's the
course,
most Bill, that's the
I
most
was in
Bill Murray
full
thing
bloom
ever.
alcoholism at that time, so I don't think I would have passed a breathalyzer test if we
So
got stopped. But
so
Bill Murray made it to the
the first time I met him was at the AT&T Pebble Beach. It may have been the Bing Crosby at this point, about 89 or 90. And I was there and I was the writer from the Golf Course Management magazine. I'm pretty sure I had a suit on and I was carrying my camera bag or whatever. And I was trying to go around and get interviews with celebrities about and ask them, what do you think about golf course superintendents or whatever? And I look over and there's Bill Murray in a bunker He's got a like a Tam O'Shanter hat on with a pink plastic golf ball glued to the top of it, and he's wearing his old timey golf outfit and everything. And I worked up the courage to go over and I said, Mr. Murray, I'm Pat Jones. I'm from the GCSA, and I just want a couple of minutes to talk to you about Ka. And I never even got the words out. And he's like, "Oh, you guys wrote me so many letters. It was just a movie. You got to get over it." And that was it. That was the end of the interview.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Caddyshack once. He hit the
Yeah, good
button
for
on the
you.
thing. I think we talked about sports. I knew, he's a kind of a Chicago sports fan, and
Yeah,
I got
kind of.
waitlisted to
Yeah,
Notre Dame, so we talked about like the Midwest probably more than
yeah,
anything else. One of the gifts for me, for whatever reason, is that in those situations, which I haven't been in a ton of them, but I just sort of try to treat people as normal as possible.
right.
The day I came home from the Ryder Cup, I ended up sitting next to Nelly Corda on the plane,
Yeah,
and it was cool because we got to talk a little bit about golf, and I knew her when she was a kid, but she's a young person. She's on the phone, on the thing, and you just let them be. And
yeah,
there's a little back and forth once people don't feel like you're going to be badgering them. So I don't know why that's always been kind of comes
yeah.
natural to me. But you're right. When someone's famous, you got to get a little courage if you're going to say something to them.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we all have those stories. Look, we're way into this thing. We still haven't really talked about some of the fun stuff, and maybe we'll do part two at some point. But I
Yeah.
just want to ask you one more question, which is, what do you think people can learn from you? What are the things that they can learn from you that will help them enjoy this crazy business more? And I guess kind of circling back to fun, how can you capture more fun in this wild business of managing turf grass on golf courses?
Right. I think we do so many different things. So kind of, I guess one of the things that I say a lot is I'm going to lean into this. I'm just going to let it come to me and be okay with however it's going. And once you're okay with however it's going and be have some fascination about it all. I mean, it's pretty impressive what you do. If you do what I do, and you do it every day, I mean, you're basically that mythical figure that pushes the ball up the hill and it rolls back down, and you start it back over the next day. And there's a million different ways to get up that hill, and
Mm,
so celebrate that and smell the roses on the way by. Everything's a maze. All those types of one-liners, and just see the joy in it. Not everybody's out to get us. I think sometimes when I get a chance to do a talk about our business, I have this one section of like the three types of superintendents, and I'm sure there's way more. But I was more of a foxhole guy, right? Like I was just had my head on a swivel. I was out against the world. I was in the battle, and that's not true. You got so many people that are working with you. And then there's the guy that's that picture in my mind with Ali standing over, Sunny listed or whoever that is, like the guy that invented grass. Don't be that person either, because it's kind of hard if something happens. I mean, things are going to happen. We're in the middle of nature, so we're not the masters of our destiny. We're sort of the stewards of how it goes today, and then we start it over tomorrow. And then there's the other person that, because they take their job so seriously, they're always going to get fired. And we all know that guy. Today's I'm done. I mean, I lost a piece of grass, a number 14 green. It's freaking over. So don't take it that seriously. Take it serious enough. Be open, genuine. As long as that, and then there's always a chance you can restart your day. I mean, I've learned that from recovery. Things can go wrong all day, every day, or every morning, or just this morning, or the ladies can get on the wrong nine. Guess what? I didn't kill anybody, and this is going to be a funny story. once his veins go back into the, and he, he called me up. I had to give him the cart feedback and this and that. And I'm thinking, well, all right, but we'll laugh about it next week when we're playing skins or something like that. So it's not always what's going on today that can give us joy next week. I don't know if I said any of that made any sense, Pat, but that's
No, that's you made a hell of a lot of sense, and that's why I love you. Um, so so
back
thank you, young fella, for
back
your
end.
time today. I really appreciate it, and I always learn from you. Probably not what you're intending to teach, but I always learn from you. And you're a joy to have in this business, and I hope everybody gets a chance to experience it the way I have.
I agree. Come and play Longboat. I want to have everybody here.
Okay,
But
we'll let them know.
thank you for letting us tell our stories, Pat. You're that guy
Uh,
that brings that message, because a lot of times there's a lot of guys and gals in our business that go unnoticed, that maybe even at their club they don't even know that they're the superintendent. And to me, that's a travesty.
yeah, we try, and just one last thing is one of the things you've learned to do that I think all superintendents need to learn to do. In fact, everybody does, is to let go of this identity thing that we have, where you're so wrapped up in being this caricature of what a great superintendent's supposed to be. You get this identity thing, and then when something happens, you lose your job or whatever else. It's brutal. It's just brutal. So I think people need to look at you and see how you've learned and the smile on your face, and why letting go of this preconceived notion of what you're supposed to be can sometimes be very freeing.
Very free.
There you go.
Remember to breathe.
And remember to
Remember
breathe.
to breathe.
Thanks, Turf Monkey.
Thank you. Love everybody. See ya.
And stay tuned for more TurfZooms brought to you by the Aquatrolls Company very soon.